Alright folks, in this video I want to discuss two things. The upcoming event where you can evolve Kubfu into Urshifu. I also want to talk about the makeup events that certain parts of the world have had for the Gigantamax Snorlax problem, particularly the Hitbox problem. So I thought with Applin, 200 candies for each evolution was obviously quite a lot, but we've had Pokemon like that in the past. You know, you can even take the ongoing event, at least while I record this, with the Swablu, Magikarp, those kind of Pokemon where it takes 400 candies to evolve. So a bit of a grind, but at least you can find these Pokemon in the wild. You know, you can eventually get enough candies. And the same with Applin, I'm finding it here and there, although there was some spawn issues with that. See my last video where, you know, you clicked on Applin and all the Applin spawns weren't even spawning off of the Mossy Lore modules. But I don't know if they fixed it or not, but regardless, you can still at least find it in the wild. You can kind of get enough candies to get that. But with Kubfu, firstly, there's two forms to it, right? So essentially, if you want both forms, both types, even though they look very similar, maybe they are the same, at least they're different in terms of the single strike and rapid strike, you essentially then need 400 candies. So that is a lot. Some people, they can just pour rare candies into that. Other people, it's going to be a lot harder, depending on how much money you put into this game, how many raids you do, etc. So for some players, that is a lot to ask for. And, you know, if you put a lot of money into this, it might be less of you to ask for. But still, that's besides the point, because you shouldn't have to. It shouldn't be such a ball ache. And it's kind of just not fun. At least like with Magikarp, you know, 400 candies, you get there eventually. And who knows, maybe along the way, you catch a shiny one. Or you catch an XL one, etc. So it adds a bit to the grind in terms of the fun mechanic. But the grind with this one, it doesn't seem fun. And let's just put the 400 candies aside, or the 200 for each or whatever. You also need to win 30, dark type raids for one, or max battles, and the same 30 water raids or, you know, max battles for the other evolution. So that is a lot to ask for as well. I think with the upcoming Kin Gambit debut, for that you need 15. So, you know, who's coming up with these numbers? Why 30 for each? So 400 candies and 60 raids essentially, if you want both forms. In my opinion, that is a big ask. And then there's the kind of matter of, do we even invest in the Kubfu that you might have, or the two Kubfus that you might have if you purchase the paid research? I did, to get a second one. Whether that was worth it or not, probably not. Because should you invest in one if at some point they will be having their Gigantamax Forms released as well? So this is the thing, like even with the upcoming Gigantamax Machamp, for the longest time we've had Dynamax Machop, which you can evolve up into Dynamax Machamp. I have done, and I did invest in one because it was useful up against Snorlax. But then it is kind of annoying because eventually, you know, I knew it anyway, but that's why I only invested in one. Eventually we're going to have the Gigantamax version, which we've got now, which makes the Dynamax version now essentially obsolete. You know, I'll probably still use it, but of course it's nowhere near as useful or as powerful as the Gigantamax version. And the same will eventually be true for Kubfu or Urshifus, because it's going to be Dynamax Urshifus, and eventually Gigantamax Urshifus are going to be released. And they look cooler anyway, even if they are going to be stronger, which they will be. So this kind of thing where they kind of like, they bring out the more rubbish Dynamax version just to later on then release the Gigantamax version, it's a very flawed system. And, you know, if they just brought out maybe the Dynamax versions of Pokemon that don't have a Gigantamax version, that would make sense. And they do, right? And those ones, yeah, it's worth investing in, powering up, etc. But it's just annoying, like 400 candies, 60 raids to get both forms for something which is also gonna get a Gigantamax form eventually anyway. So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but it is just very annoying. And I think that there could be a better way to do it. Or if they're gonna give us the more obsolete Dynamax forms, at least make them more obtainable and less of a grind, if eventually they're just going to be obsolete to the Gigantamax versions anyway. So, you know, make it 100 candies and 10 raids rather than 200 candies and 30 raids to evolve. And talking about the Gigantamax Snorlax thing as well, for that, certain places have had a makeup event, and rightly so. There was quite a few issues with it, but one of the ones that really annoyed me and my friends was the fact that the hitbox was really off. There was something completely wrong with it. I'll put some examples here. You can see with the shiny as to kind of what's going on there. Had to do the tiniest of circles in the bottom left hand corner. The tiniest, and then the tiniest slight throw, even to get a great throw on the Snorlax. And they fixed the hitbox now. So I'll give an example here of just the normal hitbox it's meant to be. They fixed it now. So essentially that means everywhere that did the event which had the messed up hitbox should get some form of compensation or makeup event. I missed out on quite a few Snorlaxes. I know people that missed out on even more because this thing was so bloody ridiculous to catch because of the hitbox, which was so messed up and wrong, which they have now fixed. And they've given these makeup events to certain areas with the fixed hitbox. So it's then not fair to the other areas that haven't had the makeup event with the fixed hitbox, or at least give them some form of compensation for all the Snorlaxes that they weren't able to catch because of the messed up hitbox. But anyway, those are just the two things I wanted to chat about. I think this was meant to be a quick-ish video, so hopefully, you know, not too crazy long. Please at least slap that like button, as it's massively appreciated. As always, everyone, take care, and yeah, I'll catch you all in the next one.